Every song on this list was written by someone who had no idea they were running out of time. They wrote about love, freedom, mortality, and the open road. Then their lives ended, and the songs they left behind took on meanings no one could have planned.
Anything you want, you got it. Anything.
These are the 10 greatest posthumous classic rock songs ever recorded. And stay with us past number 1 because there's one famous song many fans think should have made this list. You can decide if it counts. Number 10, John Lennon, Watching the Wheels.
I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round.
For 5 years, John Lennon disappeared. He walked away from music in 1975 to raise his son, Sean. Lennon wrote Watching the Wheels as a playful response to the press speculating about what he was up to. It was a song about the joy of dropping out while the world spins past. Then, on December 8, 1980, Lennon was murdered outside the Dakota.
Former Beatle John Lennon, who was 40, was shot and killed last night outside his luxury apartment in New York.
The song was released 3 months later as the third single from Double Fantasy. The song's meaning was forever changed. Double Fantasy won Album of the Year at the Grammys, and Watching the Wheels remains a statement of independence that never grows old.
Now you no longer play the game.
The next song was a lighthearted pop tune. Then a fatal accident turned it into an epitaph. Number 9, Eddie Cochran, 3 Steps to Heaven.
3 steps to heaven are 3 steps to heaven.
Eddie Cochran recorded 3 Steps to Heaven on January 8, 1960, during what would become his final studio session, a lighthearted pop tune about finding love. A little over 3 months later, Cochran was killed after a high-speed taxi crash in England. He was 21. Cochran had been shaken by the 1959 plane crash that killed Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper. He developed a dark premonition that he would die young. Right before getting into that taxi, he reportedly told Sharon Shealy, "I've got a queer feeling that fate's not going to let us be together." When the song was released after his death, the title alone turned it into an epitaph. It shot to number 1 in the UK.
Just follow steps 1, 2, and 3.
The next song is a prime example of how an artist's death can completely redefine a song. Number 8, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Life by the Drop.
That's how it's happened, living life by the drop.
Stevie Ray Vaughan was known for his full-volume electric blues, overdriven amps, heavy strings, double treble at his back. Life by the Drop strips all of that away. Just Vaughan and a 12-string acoustic. The song was written by Doyle Bramhall and Barbara Logan. Bramhall had known Vaughan since childhood. The lyrics carry the weight of friendship, hard years, and survival. 2 lives that drifted apart, hit the wall, and kept going. Then, on August 27, 1990, Vaughan was killed in a helicopter crash. Lines like, "No wasted time, we're alive today," stopped sounding like simple gratitude. They became a reminder of how little time he actually had. The song was placed as the closing track on his 1991 posthumous album, The Sky is Crying. An artist who'd conquered his demons, captured in his most honest and vulnerable moment.
No waste of time, we're alive today.
The next song was written about a failing marriage, but after the singer died, everyone assumed it was written as his farewell. Number 7, Queen, Too Much Love Will Kill You.
Too much love will kill you if you can't make up your mind.
Brian May wrote Too Much Love Will Kill You during the breakdown of his first marriage. Torn between his wife and his new love, Anita Dobson. Co-written with Frank Musker and Elizabeth Lammers, Queen recorded it around 1988 for The Miracle, but it was shelved during a publishing and songwriting credit dispute. Then, Freddie Mercury died of AIDS-related complications in November 1991.
Dedicated to their lead singer, Freddie Mercury, who died last night of AIDS. There have been tributes to his talent and his courage from friends and from...
May debuted his solo version at the 1992 tribute concert. Because it was unveiled at that memorial, the public assumed it was about Mercury.
On between the lover and the love you leave behind. You're headed for...
The definitive version came in 1995 on the posthumous album Made in Heaven, featuring Mercury's original vocal from the earlier sessions. In true Queen fashion, the production builds a lush, atmospheric arrangement around Mercury's voice. Recorded years before his death, but released after it, the performance sounds like a man singing from the other side.
Of the man I used to be. And it...
Next, the wildest guitarist in rock history revealed his most vulnerable side. Number 6, Jimi Hendrix, Angel.
Fly on, my sweet angel.
Jimi Hendrix wrote Angel from a dream about his mother, Lucille, who died when he was young. He recorded the master take at Electric Lady Studios on July 23, 1970. The track was part of the material he was shaping for a planned fourth album, a more melodic and soulful side of where he was headed. Less than 2 months later, Hendrix was dead at 27.
The Jimi Hendrix experience is over. The acid rock musician died today in a London hospital.
To the world, Hendrix was the wild man of rock, but Angel revealed a different side of him. Critics have called it his finest ballad, a tender search for inner peace from a man the world only knew as a spectacle. Drummer Mitch Mitchell returned to the studio after Hendrix's death to add new drum overdubs and help finish the track. It was released on the 1971 posthumous album, The Cry of Love. Angel proved that Hendrix possessed gifts as a sensitive songwriter that most of his audience never got to see.
Angel came down from heaven yesterday.
From a hidden sensitive side to a triumphant comeback cut short. Number 5, Roy Orbison, You Got It.
Anything you want. You got it. Anything.
Roy Orbison built his career on dramatic ballads of heartbreak and loneliness. Songs like Only the Lonely, Crying, and Running Scared. You Got It was the opposite, a bright, bouncy love song.
Are you to stay?
Co-written with Jeff Lynne and Tom Petty in Mike Campbell's garage in Los Angeles. On December 6, 1988, Orbison died of a heart attack at 52.
My life to be with you.
The song was released less than a month later. It became his first top 10 hit in 25 years and made Orbison the first artist to chart simultaneously on the pop, adult contemporary, country, and album rock charts. Orbison died before he could see the comeback land. Lynn later said he was really happy and that it was horrible he never got to see the song crack the top 10. An upbeat love song turned into a bittersweet farewell. We're counting down the greatest posthumous classic rock songs ever recorded. We've heard unintentional epitaphs, reunions after death, and artists whose deaths completely changed how their songs were heard. But the next songs carry even heavier emotional weight. Number 4, The Beatles, Free as a Bird. In 1977, John Lennon recorded a rough demo onto a cassette at the Dakota Building in New York. Just his voice and piano, locked together on a single mono track. The song was called Free as a Bird. Lennon moved on and never came back to finish it. 3 years later, he was murdered.
Former Beatle John Lennon, who was 40, was shot and killed last night outside his luxury apartment in New York.
15 years after that, Paul McCartney asked Yoko Ono for any unreleased Lennon recordings. She handed over the tape. The surviving Beatles decided to finish it. To handle the emotional weight, they pretended Lennon had simply gone on holiday and left the tape for them to work on. Producer Jeff Lynne had to remove hums, hisses, and clicks from the cassette, while the band built new guitars, drums, and harmonies around Lennon's original performance. But one lyric hit differently now.
Whatever happened to the life that we once knew?
Lennon had sung, "Whatever happened to the life that we once knew?" In 1977, it meant one thing. In 1995, it sounded like a question no one could answer. The song won a Grammy and made the Beatles the first group to land a top 40 hit in 4 different decades. The next song was never supposed to be a single. It took a plane crash to change that. Number 3, Jim Croce, "Time in a Bottle."
I could save time in a bottle. The first thing.
Jim Croce wrote "Time in a Bottle" in December 1970 after learning his wife Ingrid was pregnant with their son AJ. The song is about wanting to stop time, to save every moment with the people you love. It was never meant to be the obvious single. On September 20th, 1973, Croce was killed in a plane crash in Louisiana at 30. He had already decided to quit music and settle down. After his death, his widow received a letter he'd written before the crash. He said he was ready to come home for good. He wrote, "Remember, it's the first 60 years that count, and I've got 30 more to go."
I could make days last forever if words.
He had 3 days. Radio stations started playing the album track on their own. Fan demand surged. The label released it as a single, and it climbed to number 1. A song about wanting more time, written by a man about to run out of it. From the cruelest irony on this list to the song that turned a singer into a myth.
Once you find them.
Number 2, Janis Joplin, "Me and Bobby McGee." Janis Joplin died of an accidental heroin overdose in October 1970 at the age of 27. She was in the middle of recording Pearl. 3 months later, the album came out. It became the best-selling record of her career. Its lead single, a cover of Chris Christopherson's "Me and Bobby McGee," became her only number 1 hit. She never knew. The song tells the story of a lonely traveler drifting across America, finding freedom on the road, but losing everything that matters. Christopherson had briefly been Joplin's romantic partner shortly before her death. After she died, listeners mapped the lyrics onto her life. The bullied Texas outcast who ran away to find liberation in music. The woman who found freedom but paid the ultimate price. What makes the recording hit even harder is the performance itself. Recorded just days before her death, it captures both her raw power and the vulnerable soul underneath. It proved she was still evolving right up until the end. Pearl went to number 1 for 9 weeks. Me and Bobby McGee cemented Joplin as the icon of the Woodstock generation. A legacy sealed by a song she never heard become a hit.
Next to mine. Freedom is just another word for.
But the number 1 spot goes to the song that redefined what a posthumous hit could be. Number 1, Otis Redding, "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay."
Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
In the summer of 1967, Otis Redding was staying on a rented houseboat in Sausalito, California. He had just played the Monterey Pop Festival. He was soaking in the Beatles and Bob Dylan. He wanted to change. He sat on the dock, watching the ships roll in, and started writing.
Gonna come my way, so I'm just gonna sit on the dock.
Redding was known for gritty, high-energy R&B. But after Monterey, he began experimenting with something different. A laid-back, reflective sound that pushed his music closer to the folk and rock songwriting that was reshaping popular music in the late 60s. The label was nervous. President Jim Stewart and bassist Duck Dunn worried this shift could hurt his career. Redding didn't care. He told them it would be his first number 1 hit. He recorded the final vocal overdubs on December 7, 1967. At the end, he whistled the melody because the song was still unfinished. Producer Steve Cropper later added the sounds of seagulls and crashing waves to recreate the atmosphere of that California harbor. 3 days later, Otis Redding died in a plane crash into Lake Monona, Wisconsin. He was 26. Released a month later, the song became the first posthumous #1 single in U.S. chart history. It won 2 Grammys, and it changed the sound of soul music forever.
Look like nothing's gonna change.
The last song on this list wasn't written about death. It was written about a bar fight. Bonus: Lynyrd Skynyrd, What's Your Name?
What's your name? Little girl, what's your name?
Earlier, I mentioned there's one famous song many fans might expect to see here. You're probably thinking of Freebird. But that song became the band's epitaph years later. It wasn't a posthumous hit. This one is a little more complicated. The last song on this list wasn't written about death at all. It was written about getting thrown out of a bar. Ronnie Van Zant and Gary Rosington wrote What's Your Name after a chaotic night at a Holiday Inn bar in Asheville, North Carolina, during the 1975 Nothin' Fancy tour. 2 years later, the song opened Lynyrd Skynyrd's new album, Street Survivors, released October 17, 1977.
Treat her right. What's your name?
3 days later, the band's chartered plane crashed in Mississippi, killing Ronnie Van Zant, Steve Gaines, Cassie Gaines, and 3 others, including both pilots.
77 plane crash that killed 3 band members, including its lead singer and Rosington's.
The single became a hit after the crash, so technically it's a gray area. You can decide if it counts.
Said we can't drink in a bar, what a shame.
That's our list. 10 songs written by artists who had no idea they were saying goodbye. Which one hit you the hardest? And what other song should have made the list? Let us know in the comments.